Stop the cap.
I was sitting here watching or listening to Media Man and him crunching the numbers on, um, which he's done before, crunching the numbers on, you know, black men versus black women and who has the most babies, who's got the most kids, and it's black women. 46% of black men have kids and 61% of black women have kids. That is no small gap. And we've talked about this before. This has been covered before. He keeps having to come back to it. And one of the things that I keep noticing, you know, not just um, in his discussion, but just in general, because black men have started to put this information out there because we're sick and tired of these narratives that have that people just accepted at face value. And then this goes back to some of the points that Dr. T. Hassan Johnson and Dr. Curry have made about people just embracing concepts of black male negativity. It's pretty much no different than what white supremacy does. Even with things don't involve us, they try to bring us into it. Like uh, the shooting in Maine where the white guy went and shot up. Where was that in Maine? I forget what the name of the town was, but it shot up the town in Maine, and then you had a couple weeks later the guy went and shot the Palestinians right in the in the restaurant or whatever. And white people, Fox News, like they'll be like, "What about Chicago?" They'll try to bring us into it when it has nothing to do with us. We're like the ultimate scapegoat, and that's what a lot of black men, myself included, are extremely tired of being the ultimate scapegoat. When the facts aren't even that. It's just the way that things are, pushed out and promoted in the media. Where for most people, perception is reality. It's what it is. That's why media is powerful. And that's why not controlling the media, not controlling your own image is dangerous. You know, I haven't, I made my videos and commentary about the whole Israeli Palestinian conflict. Y'all know how I feel about that. Um, and I've just been, since I made those videos, I just fell back and I said, I'm done with the conversation. Because, again, both of those groups exhibit anti blackness. Um, Maybe not the Palestinians specifically, but Arabs in general, exhibit anti blackness. And the Israelis, we know about the Israelis giving the Ethiopian women Depo-Provera, and then 6 months later, back in 2013 in June, they were like, "Oh my God, we have a Miss Black Israel." Like, we knew what that was about. You trying to cover up your tracks because you got caught. And there's plenty of documentaries about how Israelis treat Ethiopians, how they treat other black migrants. It's basically like Jewish nationalism, which mirrors white nationalism in America and Europe. And I guess the thing that people forget, when they talk about the Jewish community and talk about the Israelis, is that the Israeli people, like the Ashkenazi Jewish people, are white. They are European. They're from Europe. They're from Poland. They're from Germany. They're from Russia. They're from Ukraine. This is where these people are from, and they still share that same pathological white DNA, that exhibits the same tendencies as white nationalism. I mean, there's plenty of videos on YouTube. You can go and pull up the clips of Jewish nationalists, and they sound just like the white supremacists. I mean, just like them when it comes to their home and their this and their that. And the irony is that the most anti-Semitic thing in the world is Zionism and is the formation of Israel. Because the only reason why white Europeans, whether in America or whether in Europe, support the formation of Israel is because they don't want Jewish people around them. That's the main reason why they support the formation. You could throw in a little bit of guilt because of the Holocaust, but real talk, it's like, why didn't you give up, half of Germany, or why didn't you, find some place in Europe for them to be relocated to? Nah, but they didn't do that. They went and, divvied up somebody else's lands, halfway across the globe, right? But, looking at the propaganda, personally, let me say this on the record. I mean, I think a lot of people owe Kanye West an apology. And I've seen a number of videos where people, have been, be like, oh, he was right, about, what Jewish people, control. And I always find this, even what is it, Middle Nation? I think that's the channel. And I'm saying, this man is a Muslim man, and he went and crushed a lot of the, the anti-Semitic, ideas that, Jewish people control the world. Like, he shot a lot of that down. But I'm like, that still doesn't mean the Jewish people don't have a lot of influence, because I'm sure everybody has noticed now. It's like, you can't criticize Israel. They want to conflate anti-Semitism with anti-Zionism, and it's like, anti-Zionism is not anti-Semitism. Anti-Zionism is about the fact that here you have a group of people that colonize another people's lands, that essentially, they shouldn't be there. I mean, it's no different than the argument about, white South Africans in South Africa and Zimbabwe. It's no different. It's like, you don't belong here. You're from the literally the other side of the planet. You don't belong here. This is not you have no claims, to this land. You're a colonizer. That's what you are. And somehow saying that about Israel, even though the United Nations has already stated that, is anti-Semitic. That's what you see all over the news. That's what you see. That's what you see all over the media. It's anti-Semitic, anti-Semitic. And I'm looking at, even what's his name, the Shapiro. We got the governor of Pennsylvania. His name is Shapiro, and his last name is Shapiro, like Ben Shapiro. And he just slammed the president of University of Pennsylvania. I guess she gave a speech talking about, what's going on at her campus, because they're all focusing on all these Ivy League schools. And it's so funny that it's all the Ivy League schools. Again, Jewish people have no power, but it's all the Ivy League schools that all these Jewish billionaires are threatening to pull back, their money and alumni, money that they throw at the school and all this other stuff, all because you have, students that are protesting against Israel. Right? And I see all this stuff in the media, Fox News, which, like, it seems like there's a whole bunch of war hawks over there, which is weird to me, because and I just think it's about the money and the war and, BlackRock and, freaking the military industrial complex, right? What is that? What are the companies called? Raytheon, Boeing, what's the damn the military company called? One of the biggest ones. I'm going blank. Damn, I can't think of what the heck it is. I'm going blank. I can't think of what it is. But all those military, industrial complex companies that build all the missiles and the rockets and the lasers and all that stuff. They want to be able to, basically charge, get a blank check, not only from the U.S. government, but from the Israeli government, right? Because there's profits to be made, right? A lot of these people in Congress and the Senate, they got stocks in these companies. So war is a good thing. War is very profitable, right? So you have that aspect of it, but real talk, on the right, it's nothing but a bunch of anti Semitic, people who engage in anti-Semitism, right? The people who shot up, who go into synagogues and shoot up synagogues, you know what I mean? Like, by and large, it's white folks that are doing that shit. I mean, we had in Jersey, there was a black man who shot up a kosher like I don't know what the the I guess they sell pickles in there. I don't know. It was like a Jewish deli. He shot up a Jewish deli, which was like weird. Like black people were looking at that shit like, huh? You know what I mean? But then you can get into some goofiness with the the black Israelites and what they're on, which I still don't fully grasp or fully understand, but from what I've seen, there is some validity to some of the arguments that they made, in terms of, like, they have a Jewish tribe in Nigeria, and even the state of Israel is looking into that. Same thing with the what the Israel had with Operation Project. I think it was Operation Project Moses. Where they brought the Ethiopian Jews into Israel, which I don't understand. If all you're gonna do is discriminate against them and marginalize them, that shit makes no damn sense. Why bring them there? Just to boost your numbers and say, hey, we got more Jewish people. But but again, they're still white Europeans. The anti-blackness is still there within the Israeli culture. So again, you know how I feel about black African peoples embracing all of these Abrahamic religions. Okay, these people don't fuck with us, but y'all be running around, worshiping, their white gods. Shit makes no sense. It's sad how brainwashed black people are, but that's a whole nother conversation. Um, but the thing that I wanted to point out or talk about is that propaganda. Is the way. Like I sit there and I watch the news, and I'm like, do y'all know history? This is why I stopped fucking with mainstream media news when it came to the gun control. When I saw how much they were lying, when they went and they got that with a military general, and he shot the AR-15 and acted like the shit broke his arm and whatnot, and then started just saying a whole bunch of fallacies about AR-15s and just lies on top of lies. Because I'm like, yeah, I know y'all don't want us to have guns, right? Because again, if the powers that be, they're already dominating us financially with the politicians and the corporations and the banks and not wanting to pay people and whatnot. And the final nail in the coffin is to disarm the population. That's what they want to do. Okay, and so they go up there and they start exploiting all the mass shootings and and then anybody's next, and they start going that route instead of letting people actually be armed to defend themselves. They act like only law enforcement can protect you, right? So they go with the propaganda on that, and that was like the first time that I was done with the mainstream media. Then when it comes to this whole Palestinian Israeli thing, I'm like the amount of lies. Like first they started off with the lies, then they realized nobody was going for the lies. Then they had to pivot and then try to make it look like they were more balanced, and then they would have like a Muslim like commentator say his piece, and then like I guess some Jewish people got upset, and then next thing Muslim commentators are getting fired from MSNBC and CNN and shit, and you're just sitting there, you're like, yeah, this looks like a psyop if I've ever seen one, right? And then they're bitching about they all this propaganda against the Gen Z, and they're anti-Semitic, and I've never seen so much anti-Semitism in my life, and it's like, no, they're anti-Zionists. They're not anti-Semites. Nobody cares about what's going on with the Jewish faith. Like literally nobody cares, other than some of those white Christian nationalists on the far right who don't like Jewish people because they didn't accept Jesus, or Judas and snitched on Jesus, and so they blame the Jews for why Jesus was put on the cross, right? So they got all type of goofy shit going on, with all these Abrahamic religions, which, again, I don't give a fuck about. I do not care. I do not care. I'm looking at the fact that, okay, the Europeans was fucking with you, y'all left, went to Israel, or went to, excuse me, what was previously Palestine, which you can actually find in an almanac from like 1938. Okay, you can find it on a damn almanac. But anyway, they moved there, and then the U.S. the freaking British, they left. They rolled the fuck out because Stern Gang was bombing them, blew up the King David Hotel. Go look that up, right? Then they had the Nekba, and and got ran the Palestinians out of there, right? Like all this is documented. There's videos all over the internet, right? But yet the propaganda still persists, with them acting like, oh, if you don't support Israel, you're anti-Semitic. They start going crazy, right? But here's the thing, right? How do I tie this into Media Man and black men, right? Because you see, like when I listen to Media Man and this whole thing about, sorry, black women, you all have more kids than we have. This whole narrative that we've been heard all through the fucking 90s, that black men are, not being fathers, and black men are the ones that are sexually irresponsible, and black women have more kids than black men. I mean that is such a tragedy. When you look at it, and even now, even still, if you go out here and you run across your average black woman, she's got a whole slew of negative bullshit in her head. This is why I don't feel that sense of connection and kinship with black women like I should have, right? Like dealing with them is no different than dealing with some of the racists when it comes to other races of women, right? Like some of the racist women that don't like black men or whatever, and got some negative stereotype in their head. I'm like, black women think the same thing. You know what I mean? Y'all ain't out there, caping for us. Yo, you'll cape when you go out there and you want to, to be in the, center stage, and, oh, George Floyd got killed, and y'all out there protesting, and y'all like, we got y'all backs. Yeah, y'all go out there and y'all march and shit like that, and then hit black men with an IOU, which personally I wish you all wouldn't go out there and fucking march, you know. But when it comes to the narratives about black men, y'all don't cape for that. Y'all believe that shit wholeheartedly. Y'all go out there and y'all like, yeah, and y'all niggas is this, and y'all niggas is that. You try to use that shit against us, in the narratives when it comes to, black men basically saying they got problems with black women. Y'all start bringing up all these stats and numbers and shit like that aren't real. You just, I don't even know where y'all got it. It was like Oprah said it back in the 80s, and y'all was just like, that's it, that's the truth, that's what it is. And now you have educated black men that are challenging the narrative. They're looking shit up. It's like, yo, we got information at our fingertips now. People can look up shit on the phone. So the whole idea, and because this is the same thing that I say to, about old niggas in the black community, all that, respect your elders, and it is so because I said it. You know what I mean? Like, that shit is over with. Like, nigga, you got about 3 times to say some fuck shit, to say some bullshit that I look up and see that what you said is inaccurate before, I call you out, or before I dismiss you and I don't listen to anything that you have to say after that. Just plain and simple. But when it comes to black women, we still got black women out here running with these fucking narratives. And, part of the problem is, the problem is, as black men, we don't control our own image, and we don't control our own narrative. Right? So you see, like, again, you have to recognize how much money is coming from Israel that is flying, whether it's AIPAC or whether it's that is flying into American mainstream, media. I mean, I never fucking realized just how much, and this is what every American should be pissed off about, right? That you have bought politicians, you have a foreign country that has bought American politicians, where the American politicians are not serving American interest, they're serving the interest of another nation. Okay, so much so that the mainstream media, the president of the United States, the people in Congress are like, oh, we gotta support, Israel, right? And the only reason the Republicans are holding up that $100 billion is whatever, because they want something to be done with the border and the immigration, and shit like that. They want something to to be done with that. And it's always this weird conflict of interest, because you have those, the Democrats want to bring them in because they want more, Hispanic votes, because they want to replace the Hispanics. They want to replace the black people with the Hispanics. Then you have like the people who want cheap labor, right? So then like it's all like all of that shit is real funny to me, because I'm like, what is the goal, right? We already see that y'all don't want to pay people. It's not like y'all got laws, in the majority of these states that punish the people that sit in front of Home Depot and hire these people. They would stop coming if you stop hiring them. But again, you don't want to pay Americans American wages, so hire the Mexicans, right? So like this shit is just, it's just fucked up that, like, again, like, we live in a country where the politicians, and again, we got all this divide and conquer, and let's have all these these sub factions, and the evangelicals and the pro black people and the other conservative people and the super woke leftist liberals and everything. So you got all these fucking factions fighting, right? But at the end of the day, there is the commonality of interest, which is the fact that, like, we live in this country. The primary issue should be housing and gainful employment. That's all people should be talking about. I don't care what background they come from, housing and gainful employment. But yet, we get distracted by all these other issues, all these, gun control, women's birthing rights, fucking, abortion rights, gay marriage, some I don't know, reparations, fucking, free healthcare, free college, whatever the heck the people want to throw up there. We have all these other issues that people want to argue, and I'm like, the main focus should be on housing and gainful employment. That's just me. That's what I think. But anyway, getting back to my point, I'm saying, you have this foreign country that's throwing money at the mainstream media to push all these Israeli narratives, right? And again, like I said, they come late with trying to balance the shit out, right? But you see how that even when they try to balance it out and look like, they're being what's the word that I'm looking for, balanced, let's just go with that word, they're just being balanced, it still leans towards the pro-Israel narrative. You see? And so, like, the point that I'm making is how we need the same thing, for black men. You know what I mean? And we as black men need to be the ones that put this forth, because the narratives, the actual numbers, because I think a lot of stuff, when it comes to black women, there's obviously the women that just hate black men. Which, these women have been feeling like that, but they hid behind, their like feminist bullshit. But I'm saying, I think that there's a lot of women who grew up with these narratives that are black male hating, that they wouldn't have became black male hating if they didn't buy into these narratives. And I know that it's just alluring to black women, because everything is, first off, they're women. They never want to be held accountable. They will dodge accountability like the fucking plague. Okay. And then the other thing, is it feels good to basically never be in the wrong, blame black men for everything. White supremacy blames black men, so why don't we blame black men? It's just convenient. It makes it easy to do, and that's what they do, right? So I'm just saying, there's a lot of things. I'm not saying black men are perfect. There's obviously things we can talk about black men working on, and yada yada yada. Even when it comes to the women and things that they got to work on. But what I think needs to stop are these fallacies that are not true, and have been perpetuated so much in the black community that they're damaging to actually even having a constructive conversation. You know what I'm saying? Because every time a black woman runs up and talks about how whether black men are not fathers, or any black woman, because I've had this happen, like, just even recently, like, black women love to throw around this lie, that black men got kids all over the goddamn world. that black men are out here and they got 4 baby mamas and all this other shit. I'm like, you all have more kids than we have. That should end the conversation there. But no, you still have black women, that are like fucking that just ignorant. They're like those 2 black women that Donald Trump had, Diamond and Spice or whatever the fuck their names were. You know what I mean? They just run around in ignorance. And they keep spreading these sort of ideas. They keep spreading these ideas. And what is up with every time? And y'all want to really talk about another reason why, y'all gay niggas catch all this smoke. What is up with all y'all saucy niggas going out of your way to throw black men under the bus and always talk about black men, and it's always a saucy nigga. It's always Themis and Thoughts, the fucking saucy nigga that freaking Media Man threw in his clip. There was another saucy nigga I saw the other day that's like, they got a saucy nigga at PragerU. They got a saucy nigga at well, I forget what his name. His name was like Amir or Omar or something like that. Freaking one of the black women, the man-hating black women, posted with his video up there, and he just up there with the PragerU points. You know what I mean? Again, wanting to talk about black people and their behavior, but not want to talk about redlining, blockbusting, Jim Crow, eminent domain, urban renewal, convict leasing, debt peonage, COINTELPRO, freaking denial of FHA loans, denial of the Homestead Act, right? Denial of Social Security for the first 20 years, right? Housing discrimination, job discrimination, racial housing covenants, right? The 1955 Highway Commission Act, demolishing black communities, running highways through them, right? CIA, Iran, Contras, 1994 crime bill, the purging of black communities, Elaine, Arkansas, Slocum, Texas, Wilmington, North Carolina, right? Just Tulsa, Rosewood, right? Coe, right? They just want to completely ignore, all of that, right? Like I said before, America has the black people it deserves. America did everything in its power. White America did everything in its power to keep black people down. And now that black people have existed in prolonged exposure to poverty, right? And have existed outside the confines of the system, right? Yeah, you're going to have all these pathologies and problems and survival mechanisms and a complete subculture that is different from the mainstream dominant society. I'm like, you created it that way. If you wanted black people to act and behave and operate like white people and have the same value system as white people, then you would have to have black people share in the collective wealth of the nation and participate. I mean, the amount of money that white people threw away to maintain white supremacy is just dumb. It's just dumb. The amount of brain power and manpower that that this nation is not tapping into, all to maintain white supremacy, it's fucking criminal. It's criminal. But this is what they do. And good luck trying to convince your average white person, of that shit. They're too busy, again, they hold on, to these ideas of fucking whiteness and white supremacy. They hold on to that shit instead of, fucking realizing if you want to have an awesome fucking nation, then you should care about your fellow man, and how they're living when you're all in the same boat. You're on the same fucking boat. But we get into all that tribalism and group economics and all that shit, and the superiority complexes that white people have. You seen this article that was written recently, which is like basically reinforces Ghost of White People Past, where the white people in California were feeling some type of way and they freaking didn't want their kids to go to schools with Asians because Asians were surpassing them, and they were afraid that their kids wouldn't be able to compete with the Asians. See, this is what happens. This is why, again, that what Jared Taylor said was so true. When he was up there talking that meritocracy bullshit. It's not a meritocracy. What white people want to give up power? Yeah, exactly. If you don't want to give up power, then spare me on the meritocracy talk. It's not a meritocracy. You're going to do everything in your power to make sure that you and your kids are in first place. It's not a matter of let the best man or best women win and who gets the highest test scores and all that other shit. because it seems like it's like when it comes to athleticism, like white people have admitted defeat when it comes to black people, and when it comes to getting top scores on exams, it's like white people have admitted defeat to the Asians, right? And they don't want that. They want to maintain that position of power and authority. And this is why when it comes to Asians, if y'all don't know about it, Asians run into the bamboo ceiling, right? And you'll have white people who will be like, how come I don't see a whole bunch of Asian CEOs if Asians are getting the best scores? You know what I mean? And then it'll be, well, Asians, they're not outspoken and they're very timid and, they're not assertive and us white men, we're assertive, all that type of bullshit. Now you see the Asian people, they over there freaking out, because, of affirmative action, and they got rid of it. Now they're worried that they can't get, I'm like, but I like what Tariq said, leave us alone. Nah, y'all motherfuckers went over there, y'all fucked that shit up, and we ain't got nothing to do with that. Y'all deal with that shit. We are out of it. So now, if they don't get into school, if they don't get into the university, it ain't got nothing to do with black people. First off, it had nothing to do with black people anyway. All these Asian people, all they wanted to do was get into fucking Harvard. So, because how Asians are with their prestige and their fucking status and shit like that. And Asian people are freaking 5% of the population. I think with East Asians, they're like, 3% of the population, right? They're either 3 or 2% of the population. 5% is all Asians, which means even Southeast Indians. But they're like 3% of the population, let's just say. There might be 2, but we'll go with 3. But they're 20%, 25% of Harvard. And black people are 9% of Harvard. But the reason they didn't get in and didn't get a spot is because, the blacks. Like, fuck out of here. So, the Asian people, they have made their bed, let them lie in it. But, I'm just saying, going back to the main topic of this video. We need to counter this shit. We need to counter this shit, because I'm saying, I'm not, all of the, the anti-black male, the misandry coming from these women. I don't think we could get rid of it if the actual, like, the fact that, black men are doing better than black women in many areas, was out there, right? Because I think that there's too much of our women competing with us. You get into all this, women want to date up, they want hypergamy and all this other stuff, but then they got an issue with us being ahead because they really have like it's like a superiority inferiority complex. It's very weird, right? Like they feel downtrodden because they're black women and they don't live up to the European beauty standard, right? And then black men go out here and we're dating other races of women, right? So they feel ugly and they feel, some type of way about that. Then at the same time, you'll get we're going to college more than you, but then you got a whole bunch of women going to college for like underwater basket weaving, and then all they do is get themselves into copious amounts of student loan debt, and then they're running around talking about how educated they are, making $75,000, but again, they got copious amounts of student loan debt, right? And then like they'll talk about how they're so educated, but then you'll have a black man who, I don't know, he's in a trade or something, and he makes more money than she does. And then like she can't wrap her head around that. Like, so there's like all this, like they say that they want black men need to do better, but then when black men do better, they feel some type of way about black men doing better. So then they'll argue that we need more female empowerment because, and notice, like, it's never framed like we need more female empowerment because black men are doing better. They just like arbitrarily bring up this like vague nebulous oppression that exists in the black community, despite the fact that they've been running around screaming how much better than black men that they've been doing. It's so weird. It's fucking weird. You know what I'm saying? Are you ahead of us or are you not? Okay, and if you are ahead of us and you're saying that black men need to step their game up, why is it when they step their game up you feel some type of way? You know what I'm saying? Like this is what we deal with. So I'm just saying, I think that if some of these narratives where if these black women didn't believe the bullshit that they believe, I think maybe 30% oh, we like 30% of the women we get back, like we get like that, they wouldn't be like the enemy. You know what I'm saying? If we get if they didn't subscribe to these bullshit ass narratives that primarily came from white supremacy, but they adopted. And then you throw in the feminists, the Margot Jeffers and the Bell Hooks and the Alice Walkers and the Color Purple and all that other shit, right? That again, hey, can I get a movie about, that's positive about black men? Hollywood's like, no. But what you can get is you can get a feminist movie that shows absolute role reversal. Like even the like the who's the woman that was on the not the Jeffersons. It was Good Times. Who was the mother on the Good Times? I was just watching some clip where she actually had to fight to get her to have a husband on the show because the white executives wanted to actually have Good Times be about a black single mother in the ghetto. They didn't want to give her a husband. She threatened not to do the show because they wouldn't give her a husband on the show. Like that is fuck. And again, there you go, white people. The fucked up, evil, nefarious type of shit that y'all would do. You know what I mean? You sit there and we're the problem with the black community is fathers and they're not in the home. And then when there's a sitcom in the 70s of a black family, you don't want to put a father in the home to promote that positive image in the black community. Y'all talk out of both sides of y'all fucking face. Y'all talk out of both sides of your face. The main reason, and again, see, the white people that focus on power, they understand this. Of course, we're not going to promote positivity in the black community because we don't want to have to compete against the byproduct of positively promoted black people. No. We don't want young black men being, educated and doing like the Asians. No. We want black people, to basically, be degenerates. Okay, well, now you got smash and grabs and carjackings and home invasions and robberies, and you can't even walk your dog 10:30 at night. That's what the fuck you get. That's what the fuck. I mean, literally to sit there, you're on the same boat. This boat is America, and then you're like, you go down to the fucked up part. Like you go down to like the other end of the boat, and then you like do shit to like damage that end of the boat. And then you run back to your end of the boat and you go, ha, that'll stop them. Like, motherfucker, we're on the same boat. What did you do? Oh, I only blew up the starboard bow. You blew up the starboard bow. Now the front end of the ship is sinking. And the white people on the back of the ship like, oh, we're good. You know what I mean? It's like this. It's like, you ever see the picture like where like it's like a cartoon where the person's like at the end of a branch and he's sawing off the branch, like he's sawing, like you do realize you're gonna fall when you cut that branch, right? You know what I mean? Like you do realize you're gonna fall. Like that's literally white folks. It's like, the fuck are you doing? We're on the same fucking boat. Then they got all these, problems, the ghetto and the crime and the drugs, right? Right, like seriously speaking, like there wouldn't be an opioid epidemic if you didn't have fucking black people living in squalor that are trying to subsidize their existence by selling fentanyl, the fentanyl that comes in from fucking China, and then distributing it out there, and then the white kids get high and then they fucking die. Like I look at the shit like the movie Crash. You know how many white people have died because of fentanyl death? It's 67,000 people a year, but I'm saying, 67,000 people a year, right? But the amount of white people who have died from fentanyl, which is a direct result of the racism in this country that is equated to black people living in poverty and therefore drug dealing. And then the white kids from the suburbs, gnarly dude, cowabunga. They want to get high. They go and they get high, and they end up taking a fucking dirt nap, right? Because freaking fentanyl is like 10 times more potent than freaking heroin and shuts down your respiratory centers, and you basically go wee and you suffocate to death. That's what the Narcan, counteracts. When you see the people that come back, they're like, oh shit, the mu receptors in your brain. So, it's like I look at America like the movie Crash. I'm like, you're fucking up black people. That shit's gonna come back to you somehow, some way, and then not whether you're gonna have to deal with the problem, your kids are gonna have to deal with the problem. And I don't, sometimes I don't know whether it's like you get your like foaming at the mouth white supremacist that just hate for the sake of hate, and then you get your other white people that they like superficially look at black people and they're like, well, I mean, look at them, they're just like that, right? They look at the symptoms, they don't look at the like root cause, right? And so they look at black people and they're like, oh, look, those black people, they're fucked up. How did they get fucked up? I mean, they just are. I mean, they're just inferior. But how did that happen, right? How did this situation get created, right? And they just completely ignore that. This is why, again, we continuously talk about things like CRT, even though CRT is not like a thing, you know what I'm saying? But this is see, you got to teach real history, because when people don't know real history, they run around and they draw these dumbass fucking conclusions about people groups and, oh, they're like this because they're just like this. Again, same thing with the Middle East. You know what I mean? Like the first terrorists, freaking David Ben Gurion, you know what I'm saying? The first terrorists were the Jewish people in the Middle East, not the Muslims. You know what I'm saying? The Muslims were never running around blowing shit up. And then not only that, they learned the skills from the fucking United States. Again, oh, the freaking Russia wants to go into Afghanistan. Oh, let's go and we'll help the Mujahideen. And we'll teach them how to fight. And then we'll leave them weapons, just like Biden left them weapons, last year? Right? You know what I mean? That all the shit that they do, it's like you taught them how to do it. Right? You went in there fucking with them because you wanted their oil. Right? But you went in there fucking with them. If the Europeans never went into the Middle East, the Arabs would be running around like some Bedouins in tents, freaking, smoking shisha, fucking with their camels. That's what they would be on. But instead, you go over there, you fuck with the shit, you keep despots in power, you keep Saddam Hussein in power, right? You give them weapons, to fight Iran because Iran kicked you out because you usurped, Mossadegh, and then put in the Shah of Iran, which was their puppet, and then the Ayatollah Khomeini came to power and then kicked y'all motherfuckers out, right? And then you were like, oh, well, we'll go to Saddam Hussein and we'll give him weapons to fight the besiege. Then you go and you do that shit. I mean, the U.S. is the most meddling fucking nation in the world. It's meddling, right? And I'm sure there'll be some evil CIA agent that'll sit there and be like, fucking Agent Smith in the Matrix, and he'll tell you about how, do you know why, America has the highest standard of living in the world? It has the highest standard of living in the world because we go around the world and we exploit and we fuck other people over. That's why. So while you're sitting there sipping your latte from Starbucks, you need to shut the fuck up, right? Guaranteed there's people that they think like that. They think like that and they operate like that. And yes, the American people do bear some responsibility when it comes to that. So it's just, some shit, for people to fucking think about. But I think people they recognize, like, even when you see some of these like liberal, people protesting against, and I don't even think it's just liberal people. I think it's just young people, conservative or liberal. They're like, look, stop doing fucked up shit around the world, because this is how we end up with these never-ending conversations about reparations. This is how we end up with these never-ending conversations about, what is owed and what white people have to pay up. Stop fucking with other people. Figure out a way. Yeah, but we need the oil. Figure out a way, motherfucker. Send motherfuckers to universities for free, the smartest motherfuckers, and come up with some goddamn cold fusion and get Q to be greater than 1. Figure that shit the fuck out. Stop going around the world fucking with other people's shit, damaging all their shit, and then next thing you know, in the year 2050, there's some fucking random, Palestinian kid that shows up in a mall somewhere and screams Allahu Akbar and blows himself the fuck up. Stop doing that shit so that they leave us the fuck alone and we don't have to worry about that. Be Brazil and fucking grow, have like your gas come from like ethanol and try to be self-sufficient, energy independent, all that shit. Do all that shit. Stop going around the world fucking with other people's shit, trying to gain some sort of fucking leverage. If you, America's so innovative, okay, well then show us the innovation. Be motherfucking innovative then. But nah, that's not what happens. What ends up happening is, we must continue. All these old white men sitting around. We must continue the path of imperialism and usurping other governments with the CIA and assassinating leaders around the world and then throwing rocks and hiding our hands and act like we don't know what happened. And then after all the people involved, or die, then we will, the Freedom of Information Act will come out, and then we'll give you a whole bunch of redacted documents, and tell you about how we went into these countries and fucked them up and undermined their governments and whatnot because, communism reasons. It's fucked up, man. This world is fucked up. Anyway, that's all I gotta say. That's my video. SWP out. Don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe.